before we are seated, could we also observe just a moment of silence for our friends, colleagues, relatives in the state of Florida or Texas who were impacted by the storms? And we have part of our Morgan family, students, faculty, friends who have relatives that were impacted by the storm. Let's just take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. You may be seated. What a glorious day today. What a happy day today. I am so very proud to be here to preside over these proceedings. I'm Gloria Gibson, the Chief Academic Officer, Provost, and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs. And to each and every one of you, I bid you a hearty welcome to Morgan State University and this glorious, glorious day. It gives me great pleasure to be here at the opening of an academic building. This building is yet another symbol of Morgan's dedication to academic excellence. It is what we are about here at Morgan. This state-of-the-art building is an environment in which faculty, staff, and students can collaborate. It is an environment where they can engage in scholarship, encourage, and empower each other. This building today, we are opening. We are opening it also as we celebrate our sesquicentennial. And if we think about 150 years, and we think about 150 years into the future, this building will represent today. It will represent the excellence of Morgan State University. I want to thank everyone that was involved in this building, taking it from the stage of a vision and a dream to the reality of today. Thank you very much. We will now have an invocation. We will now have an invocation by Reverend Dr. Keels, the Dean of the University Memorial Chapel.
Let us pray. Dear friends, it is with joy we gather this morning to consecrate the Jenkins Behavioral Science. But the consecration of this building is vain without the consecration of those whose gifts for teaching and for learning it represents. Let us offer ourselves anew to build upon the sesquicentennial legacy that brings us to this present day. Let our minds, O God, be renewed to receive all the blessings that unseen tomorrows will bring, that we be fit temples for the dwelling of your Spirit. To the spiritual, educational enrichment of all who shall come here, seeking knowledge, we consecrate this building. To the diligent and purpose-driven service of those who shall lead students in pursuit of excellence, we consecrate this building. To the vision of Morgan State administrators and the state legislators whose ability and faithfulness brought us to this day, we consecrate this building, for we pray in the name of God. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Keels. It now gives me great pleasure to ask to come up to the podium the Honorable Kwesi Mfume, the chair of the Morgan State University Board of Regents.
Thank you very much, Madam Provost, and thank you for setting the stage. My thanks and good morning to all of you, particularly all of you over there for that standing ovation. I really, really appreciated it, honestly. Good morning. Let me start by thanking Dr. David Wilson for ushering in this day and getting us to this particular moment. I want to just note a couple of things. There are a lot of discussions and meetings and back and forth that people never see sometimes that this president, like any president of a university, has to deal with, grapple with, and endure as they move things forward. And David has done a great job at that. I begin my remarks always by thanking him for his stewardship of our great and illustrious university, for his leadership on a national level on educational issues, and for his friendship over the last 7 years as he has sought to move this university forward. And I think most of you here will agree that we have come a long way in just a short amount of time. Oh yeah. I want to thank also the Board of Regents that I am here to represent as its chair, and to also point out and to note the fact that we're joined by one of our most ever-ready and ever-steady board members, Winston Wilkerson. Regent Wilkerson, would you stand up, please? There's not too much that Winston misses, so keep an eye on him. He's taking notes. In his absence, I want to thank Governor Larry Hogan and Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford. Both of them have been extremely impactful on funding issues related to this university since their short tenure. And we'd like to think of both of them as friends of this university based on the way they have behaved, the way they have listened, the way they have helped us to move things forward. We also thank members of the state legislature who had to ultimately vote on a lot of funding measures that helped to get us to this point. And there are two that I want to specifically call out, if I might. State Senator Nathaniel McFadden, a senior senator, I mean that literally and figuratively, and State Senator Joan Carter Conway. Joan, are you here yet? I know she's en route. Their names are pretty much synonymous with Morgan State University in Annapolis and with the state legislature. And following the double team that we had of Pete Rawlings and Clarence Blount, we couldn't have asked for two other people better to step up and to continue that fight and that legacy. Our thanks to the City Council of Baltimore, those members who helped with whatever zoning-related issues there were here initially, and there were quite a few, and there may be some more, so if you're listening, we do want to thank you and ask you to stay tuned to us and to continue to work with us. And of course, the greater Northwood community. How could I not say to all of you who are from this community, thank you so much. You've been a partner over the years, you've been a neighbor over the years, and you have been a friend of Morgan State University. Dr. Ngom, Dean Ngom, I said to him a moment ago, you got a new house. He said, I sure do. Well, Dr. Ngom, many years ago, when you were just a young man, there used to be a show on TV called The Jeffersons. And their theme song, which I'm sure you will soon learn and sing for many a day, is We're Moving On Up to the West Side. And here we are. So our congratulations to you. Yes. Thank you so much. And we want to thank Ricardo Howell, your right-hand person who has helped to put all this together and to keep things moving. Our thanks to both of you, very, very much. Couple of quick things about Martin D. Jenkins, one of which is, aside from the fact that he was the 7th president of our university, there is, and there was just published yesterday in the National Association for Gifted Children, a major piece on the Martin D. Jenkins Scholarship and Scholarly Program for Young Adults. Dr. Jenkins was a trailblazer in that field. In fact, they began their newsletter and their acknowledgments by saying Dr. D. Martin Jenkins is known as the father of research on highly gifted blacks. You remember some of his research sought to do away with all of these racist theories that black kids couldn't learn, that they were genetically deficient, that they had problems, behavioral and otherwise, that could not be overcome. He started that work decades ago, and we are just glad to know that they are still celebrating it under the Martin D. Jenkins Scholars Program. Dr. Jenkins was born in 1904, September the 4th. So 10 days ago, we marked the 113th anniversary of his birth. For those of you who were here at the time and who paid attention, I know, I'm hitting home. Those of you who were here at the time remember that Dr. Jenkins never liked to talk about his athleticism, but he was an extremely accomplished athlete through his high school years, setting a number of records that never, ever got broken. He went on to get a BS degree in engineering at Howard University in 1925. A few years later, in 1931, he got an AB degree in education from Indiana State. 2 years after that, he got his master's degree from Northwestern University, and 2 years after that, in 1935, he earned and received his doctorate degree. All of which is really rather significant because in between all of that, he found a way to get married to the former Elizabeth Lucy. And Dr. Jenkins held a number of different academic posts over the years before finally being appointed here at Morgan State College at the time as its president, its seventh president in 1948. Now, Dr. Jenkins left just a couple of years before I got here, but I got a chance to meet him and to listen to him because he would often come back to campus talking with his successor and talking with students who were still part of the cohort when he left. He was a fascinating individual who left an indelible mark on all of us. And so as we open the Jenkins Hall, while simultaneously keeping open for a while the Jenkins building, I'm trying to figure that out, Dr. Wilson, we're just happy. This is a $79 million structure. You'll hear more about that. It's going to house 5 academic departments. You'll hear more about that. The only thing we didn't do was to bring the elevators over here. Now, somebody hasn't been in the old Jenkins building in a while. You know, the elevators are about this small, and they always got stuck, and the phone never worked. And it took you about three to 4 hours of yelling before somebody heard you. Now, I guess I shouldn't say that, but that's the way it was built, and that's what happened, and we can move on from there. So much for that. I want to certainly say that there are going to be a number of students who walk through these doors who may not have an idea of the struggle that got us here. I hope all of you who know that struggle will share that with them. There are going to be a number of faculty who get a chance to teach here. Please let them know that they're teaching in more than just a building at just another university. And keep in mind, as the provost said, the 150th anniversary of this great, glorious, and grand institution as we celebrate our sesquicentennial, and as we say to all of you, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Chair Mfume. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the president of Morgan State University, Dr. David Wilson.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Dr. Gibson. And how do you follow the Honorable Kwaisi Mfume? I have also thoroughly enjoyed working with him as the chair of the Board of Regents for the last 5+ years. And I have enjoyed the opportunity to work with the entire board as we have set a collective and shared vision for where we want this institution to go during the time that the baton is in our hands. And so let me start by expressing my appreciation to the chair of our board, Chairman Mfume, to Regent Wilkerson. I see our student regent is also here, Regent Hamida Famu-Miti is with us as well. And so we welcome members of our Board of Regents. I also want to say to Senator McFadden and to Senator Conway, even if she has not arrived yet. We so appreciate everything that you have done to hear our requests from Morgan to make sure that as we continue to elevate and build this institution, that you are there working with us to secure the resources needed in order for that shared vision to be realized. And so, thank you very, very much. Likewise, I think I saw City Councilman Ryan Dorsey. We certainly want to acknowledge you and congratulate you on your first term on the City Council. And we look forward to getting to know you even more so you too can be a great, great advocate and supporter of the continuation of the path that we are on. I also want to acknowledge other elected officials. I think we have a representative here from City Council President Jack Young's office, and so we acknowledge that. And any other elected officials in the audience that I have not noticed. Okay, we welcome all of you. You know, this is truly a terrific day for Morgan State University as we dedicate the second building on what we are calling our West Campus. We are so thrilled today to dedicate this state-of-the-art facility, and we welcome it to our collection of what we are calling now iconic contemporary buildings on our beautiful campus. And so let me start by expressing my appreciation up front to Ms. Kim McCalla and her amazing team. She has just done an amazing job with her amazing team under the direction of Mr. Sidney Evans, the Vice President for Finance and Management, for overseeing another jewel of a facility here at Morgan. And so please join me now collectively in giving them a round of applause. Next, I want to acknowledge the role played by the program committee that actually played the critical role in designing the innovative learning spaces that you will see inside the building. We have with us today the former interim dean of the College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Pamela Scott Johnson, who left us, and she is now the dean of the College of Natural and Social Sciences at California State University, Los Angeles. But prior to her going to Los Angeles, she chaired the program committee that actually developed, along with the entire faculty within the College of Liberal Arts, faculty like Dr. Stella Hargett, Dr. Ingom, Dr. Turner Musa, and others. They actually came together and they developed these very innovative learning spaces that you'll see inside of this building. And I have been on campuses all over the United States, and I have been in academic buildings. This one takes a back seat to no other facility on any other campus. And so with that in mind, if you would indulge me, I'm going to pause in my remarks, and I'm going to ask Dr. Scott Johnson to come forward for about a minute or so and just basically bring some brief remarks on the part of that entire program planning committee that put together these innovative learning spaces. Pam?
Thank you so much, Dr. Wilson. It's indeed a pleasure to be back on the East Coast. I'm not enjoying the humidity, but I am thrilled to see all of you. This was really a labor of love, and I want to acknowledge everybody who met several times in many, many locations in regards to this building. This building is designed for you to be together. Remember, it's the behavioral social sciences building, which means that at the heart of it is collaboration, not only with each other, but with the entire community. So our first collaboration was actually with construction and management, Kim and Julie, and then with the architectural team, Tim and Damien, and then with the city and the contractors. And then we actually reached out to the education community. Dr. Wilson, you're correct in that this building is second to none. The innovation that is here calls us to be different, to interact differently, to think out loud, because when you get in, you'll notice that you can write everywhere, you can sit anywhere, you can talk with whomever. And this was a great honor to work with colleagues, faculty members, the staff of the facilities, and the entire world to bring this building to bear. And at the top floor is the opportunity for faculty to come together to imagine and dream of the best ways that we can make a difference to students here at Morgan State University, but in this entire country, because of the impact that all of you had and all of us have. So I thank you, Dr. Wilson, for your leadership. I thank you for acknowledging the work of the committee and allowing me to come back and take part of this. I am so thrilled. There are not many times that I'm speechless. This is probably one of the few times, but thank you, and really enjoy the building. It is really spectacular. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you again, Dr. Scott Johnson, and we wish you continued success at Cal State Los Angeles. You know, this morning I am simply trying to absorb all of the things that are really unfolding around us, and I must say that my feelings run deep as I stand here. I think now for the fourth time. The first was the groundbreaking for the business school, and then the dedication of the business school. The second was for the groundbreaking for this building, and now for the dedication of this building. My feelings run deep because it took a lot for us to get to where we are today. It took a lot of sweat. It took a lot of tears. It took a lot of vision, as the chairman indicated. It took a lot of sacrifice. It took a lot from where we were in 1867 as the Seminary Biblical Institute with 1 faculty and 9 students to where we are today. It took a lot. And we must never forget that we are standing on the shoulders of those who come before us. And we must never, ever forget what it really means to the legacy of our great university to be in this space. We can't forget that, because on this very spot, if you will, this is where the protest movement for civil rights got its start in the 1940s and 50s. Right here in this shopping center is where Morgan students could not even go to a theater, could not even sit down and watch a movie. They couldn't shop at the stores in this complex. So I want to make sure that our students in particular don't forget the history, that they understand that, that this spot is not just a spot of 2 great buildings. This is Freedom Plaza. This is where all of that sweat and all of that sacrifice led to. And so today we stand here on this spot that gave birth to the national movement to promote civil rights. We stand here to dedicate this second building, and we dedicate it, if you will, in the company of our students, our faculty, our staff, our alumni, and our community. And we hope that you look at these facilities and you look at the great grounds upon which they stand with pride and with dignity. And so let me close my remarks by really invoking Dr. Jenkins. I really appreciate the brief biography that Chairman Mfume gave. But I think that, I know that when you come into the presidential seat, one thing you absolutely must do, you must understand the history of the institution. You must understand that the institution didn't start with you, and it won't end with you. And you must spend some time going back, digesting that, appreciating all of the contributions that have been made, all the struggles, in order to connect with the past, get a good sense of where you are in the present, and then to point it in the right direction. I have spent a lot of time reading about Dr. Jenkins, and I have to say that one way in which I have attempted to position my leadership at Morgan has been patterned after him. He was as you indicated, not just a brilliant scholar, tremendous athlete, but he was also very self-effacing. And he had the interest of students always first. And he had academic excellence as the top priority that he embraced. And there was no apologizing for that. And he was not going to accept any student here at Morgan who did not bring their A game to the classroom. And so, as I look at the great path that this institution has been on, I think particularly with regard to HBCUs, it is because Morgan has a great record of having visionary leadership and stability in the presidency. And Martin Jenkins, during his 22 years of service here, exemplified that. And so we are really honored to build this new facility and bring the name Martin Jenkins from the historic quad here. And if he were here today at 104, I think he would say, Morgan, you continue to listen and you continue to hold high academic excellence for Black students and for everyone. And so let's not forget that. We really appreciate all of your coming and being a part of this ceremony, and thank you for all of the support that we have received along the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Mbari Ngom. He is the Dean of the James H. Gilliam Jr. College of Liberal Arts. Dean Ngom, let's give him a welcome.
Well, good. Let me adjust this, please. Okay, much better. Well, good morning, and welcome to this beautiful facility. But before I go on, I just would like to set the record straight in terms of following after two great speakers. I will be repeating some of the words, but just, I didn't see their speech. I just want to let they are like a mile away from here. My name is Mbari Ngom. I'm the Dean of the James H. Gilliam Jr. College of Liberal Arts. And I take this opportunity to welcome you to this state-of-the-art facility and one of the jewels of the university. And with the as I usually say, with the permission of my colleague deans, let me just brag a little bit about the College of Liberal Arts. We are the largest academic unit at this university. And we also consider ourselves, and they call us the academic centerpiece of this university because we touch every single student academic life on this campus. And the pursuit and practice of excellence and student success is our modus vivendi. On August 14, 2017, at around 10:40 p.m., we in the humanities, we document. President David Wilson said, quote, "Lecturing is passé." The French kick was great, Mr. President. I come from foreign languages, so that was great. What did he mean? First, we can no longer teach our students the way we are taught in college. Because the learner of the 21st century, we interact with in this classroom and labs, has different academic, intellectual, and skills needs. Second, the dynamic and global labor environment this learner evolves in is different and more challenging than ours in many, many ways. The learner of the 21st century needs to be immersed in active, engaged, integrative learning processes in order to develop the attributes and skills valued in the labor market. That's why, among other things, a facility like this one, invites us not only to revisit our pedagogical practices, but also to contemplate redesigning our courses and developing adaptive teaching models and strategies. In summary, this is a space that fosters student success through bold, innovative, and student-centered pedagogical approaches. In other words, we need to teach for tomorrow, not for yesterday. Within this context, teaching and learning become a collaborative activity and endeavor. Plus, the research indicates that 40% of the jobs that exist today are on the way out, if they are not already out. But 40% of the jobs of the future are still in development in facilities like, in a facility like this one, on a campus like this one. The learners who are using these classrooms and labs are very likely to create their own jobs by exploiting their own skills, the skills they have learned here and they have constructed here. So, in closing, I just wish to express my gratitude beyond measure to a few individuals. Obviously, Ms. McCullough, but mostly her team, the team she was able to build, and establish. Ms. Julie Wilson, the building project manager, and Mr. Oluyemi Falomo, the assistant building project manager. These two individuals have been awesome throughout the construction journey, helping us find our way and ways, and to get to understand this building. This is a big building. We are coming from Holmes Hall, and this is more like 3 or 4 times, and so it's a big building. They have been, and still are, very generous with their time and patient with us. Our gratitude also goes to the design and integration team, Brad Phipps, the project manager, Mason Rivera, the engineer, on-site engineer, and Jake Rivera, the president, for making sure that we are familiar with the state-of-the-art technology in the building through ongoing and flexible professional development activities. We are very grateful for that. And the MSU IT team, they are here, been around for troubleshooting. And so we didn't know how to put this or that, but they were always there on here to help. And last but not least, Dr. Ricardo Howe. I'm not sure, I saw him somewhere. The assistant to the dean, who has sheltered me from meetings for over 2.5 years. This gentleman and colleagues has spent countless hours sitting in meetings and coordinating the move of 5 full academic departments from Holmes Hall on Central Campus to this facility on West Campus. Indeed, Chairman Mfume, we are now on the west side. So, the move, we are talking about over 100 individuals and their books and all the items that shall remain nameless, and no drama, Dr. Howe, no drama at all. It was a flawless operation. And the staff in the office of the dean for taking care of over 100 labels, each of them for a very specific space. Just imagine the amount of work. And also to a very dear colleague, Dr. Pamela Scott Johnson, the former dean. And thanks to you and your leadership, we have this just state-of-the-art and 21st century. I would even say 22nd century, but and thank you very much. And also, thank you for making time to come here. We really do appreciate it. I personally appreciate it. And finally, to the senior leadership of this university for their vision, for making this possible. And just this site is also means a lot to me. When I was hired, my first office was here, right somewhere in this area. There was a Heckinger somewhere here, and so so this was 1993, Dr. Adams, right? Okay, so it's and just to all of you here present today, on behalf of the student, faculty, and staff of the James H. Gilliam Jr. College of Liberal Arts and Morgan State University, thank you for honoring us with your presence on this very special day, and be blessed. Thank you.
I'd like to just take a moment and acknowledge all the students that are here. So if you are a student, would you please stand so we can acknowledge you, all the students. You are indeed our future, and we know that you will enjoy learning and experiencing in this building. I'd also like for all of the faculty, staff, and administrators, our chairs, advisors, if you're going to be in this state-of-the-art building, would you please stand to be acknowledged as well? Thank you, and we are expecting great things from you. It now gives me pleasure to introduce Senator Nathaniel McFadden, President Pro Tem, District 45 of the Maryland State Senate.
Thank you, Dr. Gibson. God, you've done it again. You have done it again. Regent Mfume and Regent Wilkerson in the student region. I don't want to try your name, young lady, but go Bears. Dr. Wilson and the administration of my beloved, we called it Morgan State College, didn't we? Martina Wiley, Clanton, class of 68, Mike Cryer, class of 68. We have shared 1/3 of this 150 years. Next year will be our 50th. God is good. To President Mike Miller, Speaker Bush, Joan Carter Conway, the fight for Morgan State University is a one that we glory in. And I've said to the president, he's a University of Maryland guy. So he does all them great things. I say, fine, Mr. President, fine, Coalfield, how you do all you want. But when we get to Morgan, Joan and I say, stop right there. A world-class university. Dr. Martin Jenkins was our president, Martina, Mike, and others. The second mile, Dr. Jenkins, is here. The second mile is here. He preached that to us. His first mile was that little Jenkins. Oh, he set us off in 68 to go do great things. And by the way, Chairman Mfume, between your presentation earlier, you talked about Indiana State University. Well, at that, sometime during that period, he became a member of an organization called Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity. I just wanted to kind of mention that. Anyway, you know, the fundamental purpose is achievement, and Dr. Jenkins said to us. But Dr. Jenkins, your first building on this campus, Dr. Gibson referenced the inclement weather that was facing our cousins and friends in Texas and Florida. Well, in the old Jenkins building, I guess we still partially use Jenkins building, we used to witness inclement weather. So I want to say to you, I've gotten multiple degrees from Morgan, but we used to share the inclement weather. So we are in a facility now, as was indicated, is second to none. Again, I want to echo my thanks to Kim McCullough. Several years ago in the General Assembly, we were having some difficulty convincing our friends that first, historic black colleges are needed. Secondly, not only are they needed to be funded at levels of other Division I universities and great universities. Come on. They said to me one day in one of those closed door meetings, yes, we have. We need to look at Morgan State University. And my great president, and I love you, Dr. Wilson, but Dr. Earl S. Richardson and I sat with the leadership in the General Assembly. Thank you, Dr. Earl S. Richardson, because we went through many hard and tough times. And he and I got together and I said, Dr. Richardson, I think I have somebody that can help us. Somebody that has built things for Towson and the Eastern Shore and she's Stadium Authority. She was brought to our city by William Donald Schaefer during my city council days. And I said to my office, find Kim McCullough wherever she is. They discovered she was at the aquarium, working on the second phase of that. And I got on the telephone and I said, Kim, when you finish the addition to the aquarium, I have an offer from the president of Morgan State University for you to come to our university. And look at what this young lady has been able to do all over this area. You see those wonderful buildings downtown. I'm telling y'all the truth. M&T Bank Stadium, Oriole Park, all those things at Towson, Ocean City Convention Center, I mean, on and on. And I said, Kim, come join us at Morgan, and let's do the same thing. Councilman Dorsey, when I came over here and got off the bus in 1964, I wasn't welcome in this community. Dr. Wilson was right. We just had to keep walking. And when they allowed you to buy something, they followed you all the way. It wasn't a pleasant time. But we look forward to working with you, sir, and Joan Carter Conway and the other members of the council. Because we are going, and although this is the west side of the campus, this is still the east side of the city. But we're on the way to Loch Raven. Councilman Dorsey, we're going to Loch Raven. We're going to have specialty shops and bookstores and nice places. And the Lord's God's going to bless us, and we're going to make this happen. And we are going to have the next generation of leaders for this community, for this city, for this state, and this nation, right here at our beloved Morgan State University. So, as a proud graduate of the class of 1968, another little degree in 72, my second grandchild is here. I told her I'd be at 10, but she knows our rule, class is first. So I don't know, Christine, are you around? Okay, she's in class, great, excellent, excellent. And my oldest grand graduated several years ago. Yeah, it's a Morgan family. And I have one at Western as a senior. She's looking at multiple institutions, but you know how we move that one, don't you? We are the best. All right, it's a great day, a great time. I'm in between the cutting of the ribbon and going to see this glorious building that God has blessed us with in a neighborhood, in a community, and in a shopping center when we were not welcome. God is good, what? All the time.
Thank you so much for those beautiful remarks. I just learned that Senator Joan Carter Conway will not be joining us. She had a family emergency, so we wish her the best and send her prayers that everything will be okay with her family member. Now I'd like to invite up the Board of Regents, elected officials, the deans, and we will have the ribbon cutting. Cheryl, if you would direct us, please. Okay, all right, thank you. I'd now like to invite you to come inside for tours of the building. Thank you so much, and refreshments. Thank you so much for being here.